All right, I'm here to give my opinions of the brand new 2025 remix of Free as a Bird. Now, back in 1995, 30 years ago, I was one of the people who were underwhelmed by the new Beatles song. I had heard Free as a Bird on the Lost Lennon tapes, a show that was run in the 80s, and I had a copy of it. I had a record of it that was put on a bootleg album, and I thought, boy, this song is really kind of weak. This demo, it wasn't really very well sung. It wasn't didn't feel complete. And I remember when the talk was that Yoko had given some tapes to Paul, and the Beatles were going to make a new song. I remember thinking to myself when I saw the title "Free as a Bird," I thought, I hope it's not that really underwhelming, dirgy, kind of slow and plodding song that John Lennon did on the Lost Lennon tapes. Hopefully, there's another version of that that's a little more exciting or peppy or something like that to it, because this is kind of a just depressing, slow thing. Well, turned out it was the same one I'd been thinking of from the Lost Lennon tapes, but I never really cared for the song that much. I thought, like I said, it was a dirge, um, and it was okay. I didn't hate the song, but I thought that the 1995 release was kind of a bore overall. I like the fact that Paul got to contribute a line, and then George got to contribute a line. They all participated, and that was a good thing. But I never could really get past John's voice. They didn't have the technology then, really, to make it sound a little more upfront, a little more part of the recording. And everybody at the time said, John sounds like he's singing underwater, or John sounds like he's singing from a tunnel, or he's in the bathroom somewhere singing it. Nobody really was saying that the vocal was particularly good, the recording in particular. But now what I find amazing is I really, really like the new version from 2025. Now, with the technology, being able to really have John's voice more up front where it's supposed to be. And when I say up front, I think it's more that he's singing on par with Paul and George. It sounds more like he's part of the recording rather than that they took an old recording from the 1970s, which is what it was, and just tried to like plaster it in there and make it sound like it was part of the song. So I think there's no contest here. I hear John clearer than ever, and along with that, I hear some of the guitar playing, the instrumentation. I hear clearer than ever. I hear little nuances and little things brought up in the music that I haven't heard for the last 30 years. Well, what surprises me is, now that I've given you my opinion, I've seen a lot of opinions online, and everybody's got one, and you're entitled to your own. A lot of people actually prefer the 1995 version. Now, you're allowed to do that. There's no law. But what cracks me up about it is, what happened to John singing underwater, quote? What happened to John sounding like he was singing from inside a tunnel? What happened to all that? Now all of a sudden they love the old version. I hear people saying, the new version, it's okay, but I really miss the old version. People saying that John sounded more like a ghost from beyond. That ghostly, otherworldly quality of George's voice from the heavens and from the beyond is missing now. Of course it's missing. This is the way we wish the song would have sounded in 1995, this new 2025 version. This is the way it should have sounded all along. This is the way you would have been really happy with it. I think basically, although everybody's allowed their opinion, as I gotta say, I have to tell you what I honestly feel. I think this is nostalgia, pure and simple. I think this is just about people who really liked having a new Beatles song 30 years ago, even if they complained about the quality of John's recording voice. I think they feel like it's an old friend that they miss. Some people were young when the anthology came out, and in 1995, that's the way they grew up with the song. That's the way they remember it. That's the way they got used to it, to the point where now even a superior version, and I think this is objectively superior in every way, in every way, okay? It's objectively superior, but people still want to say, 1995 was a little better. I like that. It's your right to do that. If I'm coming on strong, well, that's just me. I just think it's because it's what you're used to. You've gotten used to it. and you don't want it to be clean now. You like it better being sounded like it was an old demo tape dusted off and stuck on a new recording rather than being just all a brand new fresh recording. Did I make it clear? I think you know what I mean. All right, so what do you think? And no, no insults. I know I came on strong. I don't mean to insult anybody, but I think people are just looking at the 1995 version now through rose-colored glasses, which is surprising because 30 years ago I never would have thought they'd ever do that.